Is the Serie A the best league in the world right now? I'm posing you that question because people always ask me this. People always tell me this. They say, look at the table. The Serie A is the best. It's the best league. It's the best league. Do I agree? The short and simple answer is no. I don't agree with your statement. I think the adjective you used is wrong. Best is the wrong adjective to describe the Serie A. I think it's the most competitive league. I don't think it's the best league. We're going to analyze it. We're going to compare it to the Premier League. We're going to compare it to the La Liga, because I believe they're the three biggest leagues in the world, the three best leagues in the world. And I'm going to give you my opinion, my prerogative. But obviously, let me know in the comment section whether you agree. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you enjoyed. Share it with some friends. And let's get into this. Now, the reason I say it's the most competitive and not the best is because let's look at the league table. Napoli are first at the minute with 22 points. Inter, AC Milan and Roma are all tied on second with 21 points, and they complete the top four. Then fifth and sixth are Juventus and Bologna with 18 points. Como are 1 point behind with 17 points. Udinese are 2 points behind with 15. But from first to seventh, there's only 5 points in it. That is ridiculous. That's extremely competitive. Extremely competitive. And the fact that Juventus, who, I'll be real, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, yeah, we're not in a title race, I'll be real. I'm gonna just tap out. I think we're going to be in the top four race this season. I now still have faith. I think, actually, you know what? We could potentially go on a little title charge here. We could potentially be a little dark horse. We could potentially fight and win win the Scudetto. And if you're looking at the numbers, it is so close at the top of the Serie A right now. There's not a league in the top 5 leagues, I don't know elsewhere really, that is this close. And I think the best way to sort of highlight and underline the fact that the Serie A is the most competitive league in the world is me asking you, who is the clear favourite? You're going to say, you might give me a team name, but notice how I said the clear favourite. There isn't one. I think in all the other leagues, there's like one that if you really had to bet every penny you had, you could pinpoint it on one team. In the Serie A, if you had to bet every penny you had, it would be a toss of the coin. It'd be a gamble. I would probably say it's between Napoli, Inter, AC Milan, but it keeps changing for me every single week. Honestly, it keeps changing for me every week, and anything can happen. Even if we go down to the bottom of the table, 4 points separate 16th and 20th. Every single year, the race for the relegation is tight. It always goes down pretty much to the last few match days, even the last match day. It's always like one's guaranteed to get relegated, but 19th and 18th, they're close. It's like who's going to get relegated. And the European spots is always going to be tight as well. I mean, even if we just forget the top 4, 7th to 12th is 4 points. These guys here will all be fighting for like Conference League, Europa League. They'll be pushing it. It's very tight, and that's why I think it's the most competitive, because there isn't a clear runaway winner. However, the level of football in the Serie A in Italy isn't comparable to the level of football in England. That is where I draw the line, because out of 30 points, 22 is the highest, which is, it's respectable. It is respectable. But the fact that everyone's so close and everyone beats each other, it makes it competitive, but it's not the highest level. We've seen Juventus beat Inter. We've seen Napoli beat Inter. We've seen AC Milan beat Napoli. We've seen Como beat Juventus, but they're below them. Like, anything can happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, Juventus against Udinese, Juventus won pretty comfortably. But Udinese are 3 points behind Juventus. So it doesn't really make too much sense. The Premier League, on the other hand, Arsenal, who are much better than any team in Italy, have 25 points from a possible 30. However, you're looking at the table and you're like, it's not as competitive because the point difference is Arsenal have a 6-point advantage on second. And then here, it's very close though. Like, from 10th to 2nd, there's 4 points in it. Well, actually, 10th to 11th, there's 4 points in it. And then 2nd to 8th, there's 2 points in it. So this is very close. However, the title charge, I'll be real, is going to be Arsenal. I think Arsenal are going to win this league quite comfortably. It's literally Arsenal's league to lose. The only way Arsenal can lose this league is if they throw it away. They're by far and away, for me, the best team in England right now. Look at this. 5 wins from 5. They don't concede. They conceded 3 goals all season. The race for the league title, for me, personally, won't be that it won't be that long in the Premier League. It will be quite a comfortable win. I think it'll be a comfortable win for Arsenal. I think the race for the Champions League will be interesting. Because look, City, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Chelsea, Sunderland. Sunderland have been incredible this season. Man United. Everyone's going to be fighting for that. That's going to be interesting. Just like the race for the top 4 is going to be interesting. But the reason why I say the Serie A is more competitive than the Premier League is you got, I reckon, a good 5 teams that will fight for the league this year. I reckon a top 4, but I do see Roma sort of dropping off, to be honest, after Christmas, and Juventus. I think those will be the teams to really watch out for to win the league. However, in the Premier League, if you're really stretching it, unless Arsenal do a complete bottle job, it's going to be really City will push them. Liverpool, they've not been impressive this season, but they might give something. They might turn the season around somehow. And look, City got to play Liverpool next. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a winner in that game. That might be a draw. That's just going to further elongate the gap between Arsenal and the other two. I do think Arsenal's the clear winner. Then if we move over to the La Liga, it's quite interesting, actually. Real Madrid have the best record out of the big 3 leagues with 30 points from a possible 33. So they've won 10, lost 1. That's a very impressive record. Obviously, their only loss came to Atletico Madrid, and they're in 4th. So anything can happen in the La Liga as well. I am a fan of Spanish football. However, for me in the La Liga, there's always Madrid, Barca. Every single year will fight for the league. Potentially a third like an Atletico Madrid, but I don't think they're consistent enough to potentially win the La Liga. And then there's quite a big jump, in my opinion, to the rest of the teams. The Villarreals, the Betises. And, I mean, it's just, I think the level of football in the La Liga, it's very tactical. It's very technical. That's the best way to put it. And I enjoy watching Spanish football. But I just don't think the level of competitiveness is like the Serie A. Because at the start of the season in the Serie A, you know there's going to be a good amount fighting for the league. You know in the Premier League, there's always going to be like a dark horse as well in there. But in Spain, it's just Madrid and Barca and then the rest. And I don't want to disrespect Atletico Madrid because they're a big club and they're a good team. But they're just, for me, a level below Real Madrid, Barcelona for the majority of cases. Do you see what I mean? I mean, they won the league, I believe, in 2021 when Suarez was there and stuff. But since then, they haven't won the league. They haven't really fought competitively for it compared to Real Madrid and Barca, who are just going at it every single year. So I like the La Liga. I'm a big fan of it, but I don't think it's the best league in the world. Level of football-wise, though, the Premier League is the best. It's the most physical. It's the fastest. It obviously has the most money, so it can attract the best players. I'm not denying these things. I'm not a Premier League hater. I love the Premier League. I grew up in England. I've watched the Premier League my whole life alongside the Serie A. They're the 2 leagues I've watched the most in my life, and I like them both. Obviously, I prefer the Serie A because my team's in the Serie A. But the Premier League, for me, if I was to watch a random game on a Sunday at 2 p.m., or the average game, I'd rather watch an average Premier League game. Let's say, I don't know, like a Brighton versus Wolves or something like that, or West Ham, I don't know, like a random Prem game than a random Serie A game. I'll be honest. Maybe I'd rather watch a big Serie A game because I prefer the Serie A, but I don't think that level of football will be higher. If I'm being completely honest, the Premier League, for me, is the best league in the world. Now, people always throw this argument, but Man City and Liverpool have been the only 2 teams that have won the Premier League in the last 7 years, since 2018. Yeah, it's true. But in that time frame, Man City and Liverpool have created 2 of the best club sides of all time. Arsenal have been in there in the last few years, finishing second. Arsenal will probably win it this year. It's been close. It's been competitive. I'm not going to say, there should be 5 or 6 teams fighting for the league title every year in the Premier League because it's unrealistic. Because I know the gap between a City or a Liverpool or an Arsenal in the last 5, 6, 7 years has been very big compared to the other teams in the league. That's normal. It's normal. Like even in Juventus' 9-year dominance, it was always Juventus and someone else fighting for the league title every year and then the rest. It was always a 2-horse race. Now it's opened up a bit more. And obviously it's more fascinating from a neutral's point of view to see 4 potentially Scudetto winning teams, 5 potentially Scudetto winning teams battling out to the very last day. However, it's only been 10 match days. Can we continue this form? I think the form will continue, and I think it will be a very, very long Scudetto race. We're potentially looking at an all-timer league title race here. I think this is going to be one of the closest league titles we've ever seen in Italian football history, because there's not much separating them. However, I want to highlight and underline and stress that the best team in Italy, whoever you want to put, an Inter or Napoli, they're not good. I'm sorry, guys. We're not good. The teams in Italy, we're not at the same level as the best teams in Spain or the best teams in England. or the best team in Germany. Germany and France I haven't really included in this because I think they're quite comfortably 4th and 5th in the top 5 ranking, right? But Germany, you got Bayern Munich, who arguably are the best team in the world right now. So the best team in Germany is better than the best team in Italy. Then in France, obviously you got PSG, who are the treble winners, the current European holders. They're the better team than any team in Italy. So the highest quality of Italian team, who is it right now? Napoli. They've been a joke in Europe so far this season, but they got Conte. We already know what he's on. Inter, who actually in the Champions League have won all their games. So they've been really, really good in Europe. So I'd probably say Inter are still the best team in Italy because they're second, only 1 point off the top. Yes, they did lose to Napoli, but to be honest, Napoli had a dodgy penalty. It is what it is. Inter got away with one yesterday as well. The sending off wasn't. I'm not even going to talk about the referees, but I'd probably say Inter are the best team in Italy on paper in terms of the squad, in terms of their form in Europe, combined with their form in Italy. If we merge the two, they're probably the best team. But still, no disrespect to that Inter side, but it's not the same Inter side of the last few years. They're not on the same wavelength as a PSG, a Bayern Munich, a Real Madrid, and Arsenal. Those kind of teams, in my opinion. So it's competitive, but it's competitive respective to the level of Italian football, if that makes sense. Like the level isn't as high as a Premier League, and the top level isn't as high as the 2 teams in Spain, for me personally. But regardless, this is a good sign for the Serie A, because people are going to tune into the Serie A more. If they see a league title, there's only 1 point in it between 1st and 4th. People are going to be like, oh, maybe I should tune into the Serie A. Which obviously helps pay-per-views, it helps watch time, it helps build the Serie A's brand. More people will be talking about on social media, it builds up hype. It's just a positive feedback loop. So I think the Serie A is the most competitive league in the world. And I actually feel like a lot of football fans in general just agree with that statement. However, we can't confuse best and competitive. Like, they're 2 very distinct things, they're 2 very different things. And it's something really that we need to focus on. In terms of, do I think a Serie A team can win the Champions League? Hell no. There's 0 chance. Like 0%. Maybe even -%. You can't even do that in probabilities. But potentially, there is a 0% chance that an Italian team will win the Serie A. Win the Serie A. That's a 100% chance. Win the Champions League, sorry. The gap is too big between the best teams in the world and the Italian teams. However, the league is very fascinating. It's very interesting. And I'm very glad it's close because Juventus are still in the Scudetto race. And there's still a chance. When there's a will, there's a chance. No. When there's a will, there's a way. That is the saying. Anyway, let me know in the comment section your thoughts on this. Do you think the Serie A is the best or the most competitive league in the world? What is the best league in the world if you disagree? And what is the most competitive league in the world if you disagree? Like the video, share it to some friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're 1,000 followers off or subscribers off 10k, boys. It's been a journey over the last month. Tried to be as consistent as possible. Thank you so much for the support. We're so close to the first milestone, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you haven't subscribed already to click that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video.